Hey, everybody, this is TJR,
And this is Robert Kinsler.
and welcome to the news. This is the weekly show where Robert and I discuss the music news headlines and new music releases that have grabbed our interest and that we want to share with you. How you doing, Robert?
Hey, I'm good, TJ. How about you? How's everything going?
Pretty good. I got very sick last weekend, as you know. I've mentioned that on some of the videos. Starting to feel better, which is good. And just anxious to talk about some stuff here. I'm still keeping busy with the music, a lot of stuff happening, a lot of new releases, and a lot of interesting news as well. And as always, we can't cover everything. So if there's a story we missed or a release we didn't talk about it, please talk about it in the comments so that we can all share that. And thank you so much. And so, Robert, if you don't mind, I'm going to start off by talking about Kate Bush. And I'm just really glad to see this. Kate Bush has been running up the charts, so to speak. Her single Running Up That Hill has been running up the charts. Yeah, I'm trying to sound like one of those clever vloggers here. And she has scored her first #1 on a Billboard albums chart here in the US with Hounds of Love, which leads the top alternative albums on June 11th. And this news follows Running Up That Hill, her single, landing at #8 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart earlier this week, which marks the first time one of Kate Bush's singles has landed in the US top 10 chart. And this is, of course, because Running Up That Hill was featured in the series Stranger Things Season 4, which premiered just about a week or so ago, and has been used very in very pivotal ways in the series. And so if you haven't seen it, we're not going to do any spoilers. I know you haven't seen the series yet, so I'm not going to spoil anything for you. But it has been very prominently featured, and the song actually plays a pivotal role in the episode involving pivotal moments with the character Max, played by actress Sadie Sink. And so this is just really great news for her. You know, Kate Bush has been big in the UK, not as big here in the US, though she has her fans, certainly. You know, super fan. You know, my partner, she's a huge fan of Kate Bush, has all the albums. I personally own The Kick Inside, which I picked up back when in the 70s. I saw her in probably her only US appearance, which was on Saturday Night Live back in the 70s, back when it premiered, and picked up that album. Also, I picked up The Hounds of Love when it came out, which is the album that Running Up That Hill is off of. Also, 50 Words for Snow. I'm just glad to see this. I think it's great that this song is getting a new lease on life and that she's charting here in the US. And a lot of people who've never heard of her are streaming her music, checking her out.
That is great. Yeah, I'm very familiar with her music back when this album originally came out, and I had seen a number of her videos. I kind of put her in like with Peter Gabriel and some of the other British prog rock artists, very innovative, very artistic, and you know, a singular voice. She sounds like no one else. So great to see her getting this attention, TJ. I'm so glad you're highlighting this.
Yeah, you never know what can happen in a music career.
Yeah.
And Robert, I'm going to turn it over to you now. What do you got for us?
Well, as we know, since Taylor Hawkins passed away, there's been, a lot of collective grief and outpouring of love and respect for him as as longtime drummer and part-time singer with the Foo Fighters. And now the family of Taylor Hawkins, along with Dave Grohl and some other prominent musicians, are coming together, and they're going to stage 2 tribute concerts. One is going to be here in the Los Angeles, Southern California area. Another one is going to be at London's Wembley Stadium. The one at Wembley Stadium is going to be happening on September 3rd, and the one at the Kia Forum, which is better known to many of us here in Southern California as the Fabulous Forum, is going to be held on September 27th. We don't know the full lineups yet or anything like that. I guess details are going to be announced soon, but fans that are able to get to either of those locations may want to plan to attend. I'm sure the Foo Fighters are going to be on the bill. That's probably a no-brainer. And it'll be interesting to see who else shows up, because he had so many fans in the music industry among classic rock artists, whether it's Paul McCartney or Ringo Starr, all the way down to up and coming artists. So that'll be very nice. And I wanted to highlight that was a major announcement that happened a few days ago.
That's great. I kind of have to wonder, so still no word as to what the Foo Fighters intend to do, as to no word is about if are they going to continue? Are they not going to continue? I mean, most bands you would say, oh, they'll probably continue, they'll just find another drummer, but you never know. The Foo Fighters might decide like Led Zeppelin, no, we're not.
Yeah.
That could happen. I'm not going to rule that possibility out, but hoping they will continue, and hoping they will find somebody, but but still no word on that, right?
Right. Not that I've heard. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the wake of these two concerts and to see if
Yeah.
some announcement along those lines
Mhm.
occurs after either the first of those concerts or the second one, which, like I said, will be here in Southern California in late September.
Well, it's good to hear about those concerts, though. It's good to see, they're finally announcing something in regards to this. They've been pretty quiet. I'm gonna go ahead and just move on here. I want to talk about next an up and coming release by Neil Young, and this is another lost album, and we're seeing more and more of these from Neil Young. He's continuing to just dig into his vaults, and on July 8th, he's going to be releasing a shelved album that he recorded with Crazy Horse entitled Toast. This will be on Reprise Records. And this was recorded in 2001 at Toast Studios in San Francisco. Thus the title.
Right.
Now I'm going to quote, this is Neil Young. I'm going to quote here. Toast is an album that stands on its own in my collection. Unlike any other, Toast was so sad that I couldn't put it out. I just skipped it and went on to do another album in its place. I couldn't handle it at the time. And the album that he did that he's referring to is the one with Booker T and the MGs, Are You Passionate, which is an album that I own. Yeah. And I'm going to quote from him again here now. The music of Toast is about a relationship, he added. There's a time in many relationships that go bad, a long time before the breakup, where it dawns on one of the people, maybe both, that it's over. This was that time. There's currently an advanced single available entitled Standing in the Light of Love, available on YouTube right now. Neil Young himself described the track as sounding somewhat Deep Purple-like or purple-esque, however you want to say it. I listened to it. The guitar riff is very heavy. It's more the heavy, grinding, grunge sounding Neil Young. And it does feel a little bit like the riff to Smoke on the Water, somewhat reworked.
Okay.
Listen to it carefully. I don't know if you've heard it or not.
No, I haven't, and now I'm getting excited. I'm normally the one that's listening to all the Neil Young stuff, but I'll definitely be checking that out.
Yeah,
Jay, you have my word on that one.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of curious to see what happens with this one because he's released previously. He released Homegrown, and he released the what was that one? Okay, just looked it up. It's called Hitchhiker. These were all recordings that he made in the 70s and then shelved. And now this one, like those, some of these tracks did appear on later albums. Some of them have never been heard before. But I kind of wonder with this one here, there is a certain amount of polarization among Neil Young fans about his older stuff versus his earlier stuff. Now, you and I are both fans, and we like pretty much his old stuff. We love his new stuff.
Yeah,
we love the stuff in between. Right. Some of his newer stuff, I'll admit, maybe not all of it grabs me, but I at least find it interesting. Some of it I do like a lot.
Yeah. I always find there's at least a couple tracks on every album that are just amazing. I mean, it may not always be hit it out of the park like he did with Harvest or Harvest Moon, but there's always he always has something to say, and he always uses that amazing diverse musical vocabulary that he has to kind of hit it out of the park every time.
Yeah, some of his new albums have really blown me away. Some of them have made me scratch my head. I remember I wasn't into Psychedelic Pill the way you were, but after I listened to it a few more times, I started to understand it better.
Yeah,
and I got to like it more. But one of his new albums that blew me away was Le Noise, which I thought was amazing.
And it's amazing how experimental he's still being at his age. I mean, he's continuing to push the envelope, and that's really commendable. And he does it with a lot of style and substance.
Yeah, he's yeah, still pushing himself. But this album, so what I'm getting at here is that for a lot of the fans who are maybe not as into the new stuff, because some of them are very put off by it, these lost albums from the 70s are like a gold mine to them.
Right.
It's, you know, it's like, oh wow, it's the Neil Young from the 70s, you know, and they're just thrilled to hear these. So I do have to wonder, and I don't expect you to know the answer, but it's just something I want to put out there, maybe ask everybody to comment, is because this album is from 2000. I wonder how the reaction is going to be. Now, you and I are going to listen to it, of course.
Oh yeah.
But I have to wonder how the reaction is going to be for the fans who aren't as into his new stuff, how they're going to respond to it. It's from 2000. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That's the only thing that I kind of like think about in my head. It should be interesting to see what happens. But that is coming out very soon. And, you know, I'm going to at least stream it first to make sure and see what I think and potentially pick it up. But yeah, you never know with Neil Young what'll happen.
Definitely want to hear that single, and I look forward to hearing the album.
Yeah. And now I know that that's a lost release, but I know you have some new releases.
Oh, I definitely do.
So,
yeah.
And I have some new releases as well.
I want to kick it off.
Yeah.
TJ, we're talking about the new album, which came out on June 3rd, which is from The Fix, one of my favorite 80s era Spawn bands. And this album is called Every 5 Seconds. And hard for me to wrap my brain around this one, but this is the band's first album in a decade. Their last album was called Beautiful Friction, and that came out back in 2012. Fast forward 10 years later, we're in 2022.
Yeah.
Now, this is another terrific album. I mean, I guess you can say maybe the band's not so prolific now, but at least when they issue something, it's substantial and it's worth really immersing yourself and really listening. This is a great album. It continues the tradition. Remember, The Fix is a band that's done great timeless songs like Saved by Zero, Red Skies at Night, Driven Out. I mean, they've done these amazing songs that were so far ahead of their time lyrically, and the music ages really well, I think. Part of that is because lead singer Cy Cernan has a great voice, and believe it or not, he sounds every bit as great now as he did, 40 years ago. And I know that that's not hyperbole. Go ahead and listen and tell me that I'm wrong. I mean, he sounds phenomenal, kind of like the lead singer of the Zombies, where his voice is fully intact. I know when I interviewed him, and it's probably been about 10 years, he talked about how he does different things. He's very careful. He does vocal exercises and things. And he's been one of these artists that rather maybe than smoke his voice, smoke and drink and just destroy his voice, he's really treated it like a Stradivarius violin. He sounds phenomenal. And that comes in the service of some really amazing songs. The other thing that The Fix has going for him is it's still the longtime lineup. They haven't, it's not the lead singer and then he gets some new young musicians for hire. So you're getting the same sonic soundscape that you got with their previous great albums. And so in addition to Cy Cernan, you're getting Jamie West Oram, who's a phenomenal guitarist, very underrated. Rupert Greenall, who's on keyboards, Dan K. Brown is on bass guitar, and Adam Woods is on drums. And this is just a phenomenal album. I would encourage everyone to go to YouTube or your favorite streaming service, listen to some of the new tracks on Every 5 Seconds and see what you think. Just to highlight, the couple of the songs that I really recommend are Wake Up. And there's a really driving song called Closer. And there's this really textured, actually a couple of them called Take What You Want and Lonely as a Lighthouse. These are great songs. And I know I've talked a lot about it here. I hope everyone will check out the new album from The Fix.
Yeah, definitely. And what other releases do you want to talk about? I know you've got a couple more.
Well, I do. One of them, I haven't had a chance to get to it. Let me hold it up. As we've talked about, the Rolling Stones keep issuing these great live recordings, and they've remastered them. They've just done these bang up jobs. This one is called Rolling Stones Licked Live in New York City. And this is, let me read from the liner notes. This is restored and remastered from with 4 previously unreleased bonus performances. And what happens is this album was recorded in New York City on the band's 40th celebration tour. Now remember, Now the Stones are 60 years into their career. So this was done about 20 years ago. And I just want to let everyone know, get it on their radar, that this is out this week, which will be Friday, June 10th. So this will be available in a number of configurations. So for example, it'll be available as a CD and DVD release, which is the one I'm holding up here.
Mhm.
It'll be available as Blu-ray and 2 CD, and it will also be available as a standalone 2 CD and a 3 LP vinyl edition. So whatever your favorite format or combination, you can pick it up this week.
Cool.
And like I said, this was, my understanding is this recording was originally kind of available on HBO, as kind of like as a broadcast, but now it's been expanded with these additional performances and everything like that.
Right.
So that's something that everyone can look forward to. The other thing, and this one I don't know a lot about, I just got a media release also on June 10th. You can pick up the Rolling Stones singles released between 1963 and 1966, and that those are coming, I guess, as these really nice reissues on vinyl, and those are going to be coming out the same date. So the Stones are going to be all over the place on June 10th. The tracks are all remastered by 12-time Grammy Award-winning engineer Bud Ludwig. The set, replete with period-correct picture sleeve art, will also come with a 32-page book with extensive liner notes by Stones authority Nigel Williamson, as well as rare photos and Emphyria, plus a set of 5 photo cards and a poster, all housed in a hard shell box. So I'm gathering this is kind of a big box set with all these singles that have kind of been remastered and reproduced to look vintage to the period. It says a companion second vinyl box set called the Rolling Stones Singles 1966 to 1971 will be released next year in 2023. So what I would recommend to people is maybe go to the Rolling Stones official website or Amazon to get all the details. And the one Rolling Stone release I talked about, Licked Live in NYC, I will be delving into that, listening to it, watching it, and I'll be reviewing that in my column that runs next week.
That'll be on your Rock and Roll Truth blog page. Thanks for sharing those. I've got 2 releases I want to talk about. The first is by a band that I just recently discovered, and I actually talked to the patron supporters about it last weekend. I picked this one up on vinyl, entitled Sage Motel by the Monophonics. And this was a band that I discovered the other week because the album just came out a few weeks ago. It was one of those situations where I was just, like I always do every week, I go on Tidal, I look at what the new releases are, and sometimes just the artwork makes me say, let's check this out, let's listen. And this was one of those. I saw this really cool, surreal, Rene Magritte style inspired cover. And I said, let's listen to this. And I was blown away by this band called the Monophonics. They're from the Bay Area, and they are led by frontman, producer, multi-instrumentalist, and solo artist under his own name, Kelly Finnegan. They describe themselves as psychedelic soul music. And based on this album, this is a fitting description. It's their 5th studio album. Their first one was back in 2012, to give you an idea of the timeline, but I'm just discovering them. And this album I would describe has a kind of a light concept album vibe to it, or song cycle vibe to it. Not like a hardcore concept album, but light concept, kind of like in the same way that Sgt. Pepper had a light concept behind it. It's built around the imaginary structure, Sage Motel, that they mention in the title, which according to the notes on the album say is a place where folks experience the highs and lows of human existence. But the album is very lush sounding, very sweet sounding 70s style soul music, but mixed with 60s psychedelics. And so you definitely, if you're going to hear this album, you'll definitely want to be lighting some incense, if you know what I'm talking about, you know? That's my bad Keith Richards impersonation for you there. Maybe I'll just do the rest of the show like this. But yeah, but a great, just enjoyable album. Lush music, just wonderful musicianship, lush textures, wonderful vocals, just a real surprise. Love the album. I'll probably check out more by this band, but Sage Motel by the Monophonics. So that's the first album I want to talk about. Picked that one up on vinyl. The next one is entitled I Am the Moon by the Tedeschi Trucks Band. And earlier in the week, I did actually do a video where I talked about this project specifically, but I want to talk about it again, just really in brief here, in case you missed that video. I did order the CD, which arrived today. And I'm just going to briefly tell you about this since I don't think you've heard about it yet. This is a very ambitious 4-album, 4-film series that we'll be releasing over the next couple months. So within the next couple months, we're going to see 3 more CD releases. It's also available digitally. And the films are released 3 days prior to each CD and digital release. There will be staggered vinyl releases for each album, which will come like maybe a week or a month later after the CD comes out. So if you want the vinyl, just pre-order it and wait for that instead. And in the meanwhile, just listen to it on streaming or watch the videos on YouTube, which is the entire album set to visuals. And so you can do that on YouTube right now. But here's what's interesting about this. It's 4 albums, and these 4 albums are inspired by the poem Layla and Majnun, if I say that correctly, written by the 12th century Persian poet Nizami Ganjabi, which many of you might know was the inspiration for the album Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. Mm-hmm. And you can read more about it on their website. There was a box set that you could pre-order, a limited edition 2000 box set of all the albums with special gugas. It's already sold out.
Wow.
It's already gone. And I mean, this just got announced recently. And I looked at it the other day and thought, maybe I'll get that box set, but I think I'm just going to order the CDs as they come out. But maybe later I'll get the box set. It's already gone. I didn't realize it was limited to 2,000 copies. So I've already lost out on that. If I had any thought of getting it, it's gone. Yeah. Too bad. Too bad, so sad. The first CD release is out. You can buy that or just stream it. And the LPs, of course, you can pre-order those. There's going to be bundled packages for all the CDs and the LPs, just as a bundle. I was very impressed by the scope of what they were attempting to do. And apparently it was the lockdowns that gave them the opportunity and the time to do this and gave them the inspiration. Well, there was the poem, of course.
They truly are, TJ, they truly are a band that has been so connected with their live performances and touring. So they obviously found a very productive way to utilize that time during the pandemic to really, get in the studio and really do this. So that's fantastic. I've seen Tedeschi Trucks a few times. They are a phenomenal band live, phenomenal. So I'm definitely going to check out this album. I'm glad you brought it to our attention. That's fantastic.
Yeah. If you have the smart TV, just go to YouTube and go to their channel and pick up and just, search for I Am the Moon. And this is album 1 entitled Crescent.
Awesome.
And you can just watch it on your big screen TV.
That's what I'll do. Exactly. That's what I'll do.
Very cool.
That sounds great.
So that's all I have for new releases. Now, I know we both want to give a little bit of remembrance for 2 musicians who have left us now. And I'm going to let you start because I know there's someone you want to talk about first, and then I'm going to talk a little bit too.
Exactly. What I'm going to do is because I know you were under the weather and then we missed a week, this and that, but we didn't really have time to acknowledge the passing of Andy Fletcher. He was obviously one of the founding members of Depeche Mode. He passed away at the very young age of 60 back on May 26th. Mm-hmm. And like I said, Depeche Mode finally got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2020. He was like the interesting member because he wasn't as well known as the other members of the band, but he was really crucial in the band in terms of like helping them with the business aspects, helping smooth out when there was rough patches with other members. He was like a mediator in the band. He kind of had a tongue-in-cheek approach of looking upon his role in the band. He wasn't the greatest musician. He didn't do any lead vocals. I don't even think he really was very involved in the songwriting, if at all, but he was critically important to not only to their initial success, but to their lasting success in becoming such an icon, and still probably the most important electronica band to come out of that era, and we definitely want to acknowledge his passing. And
Yeah.
especially sad for the band's millions and millions of fans.
People never think about the interpersonal relationship between band members, and sometimes you think, oh, this person seems more expendable than another one, but you never really quite understand unless you're in the band some of the interpersonal relationships. I would never have surmised that until you just explained, his that part of the role that he played in the group.
And I'll tell you, TJ, I've seen them. I saw them once at Coachella, and I saw them another time down in San Diego. They are, you think of electronica band, they're just sitting on the keyboards. They deliver in concert. I mean, very powerful. As powerful as like a lot of the hard rock champions that you might normally associate with putting on these really amazing, spirited performances. Depeche Mode definitely delivers, and I think that's why they've had such long-lasting success at such a high level. I'm a big fan. I got more introduced to them through my wife, but I am definitely a big fan, and I've very much appreciated their performances and their recordings.
Cool. If there was an album you wanted to recommend to people who maybe have never yet explored them, is there a particular one you'd pick?
Well, definitely Violator. I like that one a lot, but I think I'd say with them, go on YouTube, maybe look at some of their live performances, and then you'll see, how they deliver. And then maybe that'll lead you to see, hey, what album do I really want to, get into and check out.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. I want to just take a moment to talk about the passing of musician Jim Seals, who was half the duo of Seals and Crofts. They had all these big hits in the 70s, songs that included Summer Breeze, Diamond Girl, We May Never Pass This Way Again, Castles in the Sand, Hummingbird, Ruby Jean and Billy Lee, and a whole lot more. And I'm sure you've probably got to have memories from the 70s of different hits of theirs. Even if maybe you weren't like into their albums, I'm sure people always remember the hits. I remember I would oftentimes play Summer Breeze at my acoustic gigs when I gigged all the time and did cover gigs. And that one always struck a chord with people. And I was always surprised at how many times I would be playing somewhere where there was a very young crowd, especially at some of the more hipster coffee houses I would play. And there was a very young crowd, and you'd play Summer Breeze, and just how the younger kids there were affected by that song. They knew it, and they knew it really well. I was always kind of impressed by that, how well that song translated. But apparently he died of what was called a chronic ongoing illness, according to his wife, Ruby Jean Seals, whom the song Ruby Jean and Billy Lee was named after. They wrote that song about their wives. And few interesting things. Prior to Seals and Crofts, both he and Dash Crofts were members of the group The Champs, which had the #1 hit, Tequila. They were both strong, what's the word I'm looking for, adherents, believers in, and I hope I say this right, Baha'i faith, if I say it correctly.
And I think so. I'm not an expert, but I have heard. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
what
well, they mentioned that some of their songs actually quote the Baha'i scriptures, if I'm pronouncing it right. A number of their songs, their well-known songs, do quote that. And they wanted to make a calmer brand of music, which would mix folk, bluegrass, country, and jazz. And then, of course, their vocal harmonies. And they had a strong set of hits in the 70s. They broke up in the early 1980s. I've read interviews where they said, we felt the writing was on the wall, for them, that the times were changing. Only a few very fleeting reunions did they ever partake in the early 90s and in the 2000s. They did release a final album in 2004, which they had, like I said, released an album in decades. It was entitled Traces. It featured reworkings of some of their older songs and some newer material, but it received very little notice. But they never embarked on the nostalgia tour circuit. They never, which so many groups that we, grew up in, and the boomers like us grew up, during the 70s, they never did that.
Yeah, it is interesting that they didn't want to ride that wave back into the limelight, but I'm sure they had their reasons.
So That pretty much, I don't think you and I have anything else we want to share this week.
Not this week. There's all kinds of news, but I think we've highlighted some of
Yeah,
the big things that have
yeah.
caught our
There's going
attention.
to be plenty more next time we get together. And there's always great new music coming out. Despite what people our age say, there's always tons of great new music coming out if you just look for it. So stay tuned to this show so you can be kept up to date on that. Especially if you're boomers like us, we'll let you know what's coming out that's good. And as always, first of all, thank you for sticking around till the end. We appreciate that. When you watch these videos to the end, it helps our channel. It helps expose these videos to more people. As always, click like. If you like this content, click like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. And that helps the channel a great deal. A big shout out and thank you to the fierce and mighty patron supporters who are helping us make more videos. If you'd like to be a patron supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJR the original. Make a monthly pledge. Patron supporters get early access to select videos, and they get weekly videos that nobody else gets. If you can't be a patron supporter, we understand. Just click like, watch these videos till the end, and share them with anyone you think might be interested. And that goes a long way and really helps the channel. And everybody, thanks so much for watching. Robert, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, thanks. Good to see you, TJ.
Good to see you too, man. We'll talk again soon. Everybody take care. We hope you all stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.